Hi guys, welcome back to another video and the Tonemaster Super Reverb. So this video isn't going to be a demo of this amp because, well, it's been on the last few videos since I got it, so you've heard it across different guitars anyway, and it's on the next couple of videos as well. So you'll hear it, you know, plenty of different ways, as well as the fact that it's been out for, you know, 2 years or whatever, and plenty of people have done that. What I want to focus on though is more why I think it's too loud for the broken up sounds, even with its attenuator and all that stuff, and then how I'm kind of using it, you know, with the DI and the amp at the same time to get those sounds and the sort of comparison of the two, because I feel that, you know, I watched a lot of videos before buying this amp, and that's the one thing which to me was super important that I feel there isn't a lot of information out there. So let's go over to the amplifier and do that, and then I'll share some more sort of overall thoughts afterwards as well. All right, so what I thought I'd do first is I'll play just a couple of simple riffs, like recognisable riffs on this guitar. And first of all, you'll hear this thing as a line out, so it'll be, you know, the emulated speakers and microphone. And then the second time, you'll hear it in the room, how this amp is actually, you know, how it sounds to me kind of in here sort of thing. And just as a little thing for future like videos or when you see these things out and about, anytime that red light is on the front, it means the amplifier is active, the speakers are working. If that's orange, chances are it's just the DI you're hearing because the speakers are muted when that light is orange. So let's play sort of, you know, real quick riff sort of thing. And just something on the bridge for something a bit like that'll bring out the spikiness. So hopefully you can sort of hear the difference there. I might just do that. Well, actually, what I'll do now is I'll leave everything the same and just go with, you know, a couple of chords. And do the same on a humbucker guitar, so you can hear the difference in like the impedance and how the pickup output really makes a difference to the amplifier. You know, which is standard, but some amps you can kind of notice it more than others, you know, how much clean room you've got and stuff like that. So plug it in. So straight away, because I mean these aren't hot pickups, you know, these are vintage voice low output humbuckers, but going from humbuckers to single coils, the difference in how the amplifier will break up, you know, is super clear. So if I just do it one more time, and then I'll swap back to the Strat. Still broken up, but you can just tell how much cleaner that is. So the next thing I kind of want to talk about is the kind of dilemma with the line out situation, because this amplifier is really loud, and right now I've got it on its maximum attenuation and the volume at 3, and that is as loud as I can be in this room, like without seriously annoying people. My Jubilee, for example, I can get way more range of tones at any volume compared to this thing, and that's a valve amp. Even if it's on 20 watts, it's still far more usable than this amplifier. And because I'm wanting to kind of use the line out for videos, like and recording and stuff like that, it doesn't mean that when I'm playing and when I'm in the room, I don't want to actually hear the amplifier, because that's, you know, that's why I bought this amp and not just a pedal or a plug-in or something. You know, I wanted the amplifier in the room, even if you're only ever hearing the line out. And I want to break these brand new speakers in as well, but I cannot get this thing to crunch up with, you know, no matter what attenuation, it's just too loud. So I'm relying on pedals. And if I cut to the DI a second, you'll see how quiet I'm having to run this on the DI, and then sort of gain stage pedals. I'll do my best to explain this because I haven't quite got my head around it. But so if we go to the DI a sec and I turn off the pedal, so this is how loud the DI is with no pedals. And in the room, so that's not too loud. You know, this amplifier on 3 with no pedals, max attenuation, isn't very loud. But the problem with that is you are leaving huge amounts of headroom if you want a driven Fender sound sort of thing. So I'm having to use a couple of pedals to get that driven Fender thing at the lowest possible level whilst using the line out, because don't forget the two are interlinked. So just because the line out might sound great cranked, I can't then have the amplifier on because it'd be too loud. And then I can't necessarily use pedals so that the front sounds good, but then the line out might be off, if that makes sense. So what I'm doing to kind of get around it and use both at the same time in a manageable way is, first of all, I've got a compressor pedal on, which takes it to this. So I'm not using the compressor to change the tone too much. It's just the first stage in reducing the amplifier's headroom without having to exploit the volume, if that makes sense. So now when I step on a drive pedal, so if I show you that, for example, you know, I'm getting more of a kind of broken up Fender sound rather than just a louder clean. If I do that without the compressor on, that, as you saw, wasn't changing the tone too much. Let me show you. So again, nothing. Clean, loads and loads of headroom. If I press the same distortion pedal on, hasn't broken up at all. I've just got, I'm using that headroom. So I'm finding that I'm needing a compressor set as cleanly as I can, but just to get rid of that headroom a bit more. And then when I put the compressor on with it, now I'm getting a much sort of more broken up tone, but without being as loud as the amplifier would be, if that makes sense. So, and that's been the best way I've found to kind of balance the front of the amp so I can hear it and the DI, because obviously you can get rid of pedals, crank the amp, just use the DI, and it sounds, you know, it's like we did that in the first video. That's exactly what we did. And, you know, that works even better. But like I said, I want to hear this amplifier. You know, I've bought this amplifier. I don't just want it to be an expensive kind of DI box. I want to hear it, you know, I want to hear these 4 speakers in the room. And that's the only way I've managed to do it and get those driven tones at a volume that I can use at home. And I'll tell you as well, it's borderline home volume. I couldn't be doing this at night like I could with the Jubilee. Like, this is about as loud as I could get away with, kind of thing. And I've got, you know, I live in a normal house, neighbours both sides. And I just think that so many people online have just said, yeah, with its attenuator, you can kind of do what you want with it. But it's just not the case. Unless you're using pedals, it's really not the case. So pretty important, I thought, to kind of delve into that. And hopefully that makes some sense, because like I said, I've been trying to sort of figure it out. I am happy with where it's at. You know, I like the sound of the DI. One thing that is worth noting with the DI though is that if you're really kind of sensitive to latency and stuff like that, I have noticed if I'm playing this, so if I mute the amplifier again now, so right now this is now muted, these speakers are dead, and I'm just hearing it from my speakers just over there. There is, let's get rid of that drive a minute. I can feel the tiniest bit of latency, and because I've spent the vast majority of my guitar playing life practicing on software and headphones, so that latency thing it doesn't bother me too much, which is lucky. But I know plenty of people where any latency, even the smallest amount, throws them completely. So if you're going to buy one of these amps and rely on the line out, just that latency might be a big issue for you. So let's sit back down and sort of go over more positive things with this amplifier. So I'm hoping I've managed to kind of explain there, like, kind of my difficulties with this thing being so loud for home use, because as I said before, like, so many people just kind of say the attenuator just makes it so you can crank it and get that driven Fender tone, but it's absolutely hopeless without pedals. I promise you, that thing on its max attenuation cranked is still just crazy loud. But let's get on to the positives with this amplifier. And it's mad how many people I've seen in other videos in the comments and stuff that assume this thing comes with cheaper speakers. I think perhaps because the other ones in the range don't have the same proper speakers. But here you are getting proper 10-inch Jensen speakers. They're not, they're no different to what you get on the real amp. And that's such a big part of like the value kind of thing. Because that's a few £100 worth of speakers. And you could, when you think of like justifying the cost, you can kind of use that to help you, sort of thing. And that's part of why I want to hear this amplifier in the room. I want to hear those speakers. And, the line out and everything is great for videos, but for me, playing and kind of working with the amp, I want to hear, how it's supposed to hear, sort of thing. And that combined with obviously the aesthetic, it looks just like a Super, other than the little Tonemaster badge, and that's got to be like one of the coolest looking amps ever. And the fact that it just nails it is perfect. Even though it's super light, it doesn't feel kind of tacky in any way, And if you are just after, that very clean high headroom Fender sound with the reverb and the trem, then yeah, you can get that at any volume at home. But I'm far more interested in that driven blackface Fender sound, which kind of brings me back again to my problem with how loud it is. But luckily, that is sorted by the fact that the front end of this amp, bearing in mind there's no effects loop, any pedal I've thrown at it, any drive pedal, delay pedal, reverb pedal, looper, the looper works great, just the wah, anything, I've not had an issue with how it's taken the pedals. The only exception to that is I've definitely seen evidence of fuzzes being very fussy. But, that's kind of, there's nothing new there. Like, fuzzes are fussy with a lot of valve amps and a lot of other, non-valve amps. But my friend has the Catlin Bred Fuzzrite, I think it's called, and one of these amplifiers, and that particular fuzz pedal sounds amazing, like properly like old school, just fuzzy, just that sound, and it takes it through the front end of this amp no problem. So I would say every pedal I've tried, and fuzzes may vary, but the front end, everything plugged in there works absolutely brilliant. And the last thing I kind of wanted to say as a positive and a hope, I suppose, is that this amp and all the other Tonemasters, they have the USB update port on them. And this amp's a few years old already now, and I don't think they've done anything with it on the Super. But on the Deluxe Reverb, they did that whole bright cap thing. And I just think that going forward, I can't understand why there wouldn't be, updates so you can change what type of Super, what year Super, have a few choices. Maybe even like, different Fender amplifiers, but through your 410s. I don't really see why in the future that can't be done, utilising that USB port on there. Like, I would really like to think that you know, as the years go by, you'll be able to load all kinds of different things, you know, and sort of explore different sounds that Fender released to kind of put on this amplifier. The reason why I say that's a hope though is because, like I said, the amp's already a couple of years old and they've done nothing with it yet. And if we're being honest, even though I love Fender, I even happen to be wearing a Fender t-shirt today, like they are not great at just doing whatever's the best value for their customers. Like whether it's Fender products directly, whether it's companies that Fender now own that they've changed and sort of messed with, and it just doesn't look super likely that the people at Fender are just interested in giving you amazing value. Because to me, like I said, I can't see why there can't be loads of choices with that USB functionality that can bring even more out of this amplifier. So I'm going to mark it as a positive, but also I kind of like, it's like a sit and hope type of situation that they do something cool with it. But it's got to be there for a reason, right? It's there. We'll see if they use it to do cool things in the future or not. So you've heard this amplifier on a few videos before this. You'll hear it more on videos after this. My next one hopefully is going to be really, really cool, and you'll be hearing this amp. That's why I've not demoed it, you know, like a normal amp demo today. I just wanted to kind of press those points because when I was doing my kind of looking around for this amp before I bought it, it didn't really seem that anyone was sort of super direct on, look, unless you got pedals, this amp's too loud. So I kind of wanted to try and demonstrate that and show you the difference between the line out and how it sounds in the room sort of thing. So I will see you very soon for another video, and thanks for watching. And like I said, the next one's going to be pretty cool, so I'll catch you there.